So for whatever reason, every time I do a video calling out the people dictating the standard of care, the top of my profession in nursing, it gets taken down off of TikTok for authenticity and integrity. One of the values of nursing, one of the really the most important in my opinion, is integrity and advocacy. Core nursing strengths include a strong moral compass while providing care with integrity and a strong focus on patient advocacy. Patients are often vulnerable and trust nurses to be honest and make decisions with their best interest in mind. I take that to heart, I do. It's probably the most important value, in my opinion. I am not perfect. Nursing is hard. I am not talking about the nurses at the bedside when I call out the top. But the very people that everybody wants to look to that's telling them what is right and wrong are not doing what is right. They are ignoring the evidence of the frontal lobe and supporting children and the transgender stuff. It goes against the evidence of the frontal lobe. They are down a race path, as I've said, this racial equity, health equity crap. And there's no good outcomes from that. There are plenty, your bedside nurses and doctors, they care, they do. Many of them are in difficult situations because the staffing for at least a decade, if not longer, has been diminishing, and it causes stress on nurses. And yet then American Nurses Associations and these unions want to stand up and say, we demand more staffing, and it's like, but you're part of the problem. You yourselves, you organizations don't even want to stand on what is right. You don't want to show that you will stand by the very professional values that the rest of us nurses have to stand on. So in my opinion, you're not going to have good outcomes with leadership at the top like that. There are very few managers that I've come across that are actually good nurse managers. It's hard in this system, it really is. But I did come across one, and it was at a travel assignment too. I have great respect for her. I do. I always will. We likely would, and this is just a guess of mine, would probably politically not align, but it doesn't matter. I have great respect for her because she was a manager that operated from a moral compass, yet was able to balance, when to pick her battles. She would push back on the hospital about staff, and she was also somebody that was always available, always answer her phone. And yet she's a woman that was a manager and has she's a nurse practitioner too, so she has a whole practice. She doesn't have to do all this, but she believes in her unit, she believes in her staff, she is a good person all the way around. So it doesn't matter what her political views are. I don't know I'm just saying that most nurses tend to align with like American Nurses Association and the whole the Democrat side. Not all, but some. But putting that up, but that doesn't matter. She's excellent. She's somebody that I would say that's the only person I would ever put as somebody I would look to and think of when, as far as somebody you would place on a mentor level. She listens, she cares, she will come in when there's not enough staff. There's no manager I've ever seen do that, none. The one I did see do that was at the place where, on the adolescent unit, they want you to go against the parents' wishes. And if the kid wants a binder, they order them a binder. If the kid wants to be called a different name than what's on their birth certificate, you go against the parents' wishes. I had such ethical dilemmas at that place because of all of that. But more than that, I had trouble because the nurse manager there left in the middle of a shift. She left she had an entire unit of adolescents. She left, told me she was going to her office. She left the building. She went home, never came back. It's unbelievable. So there's not a lot of nurse managers that I've encountered that know how to, that are really a good manager. And I think it's hard, so I'm not trying to bash nurse managers. There's this game going on in the healthcare system and with the professional organizations, and I have never been a manager. I'm not an expert, but I believe in integrity and advocacy. So when I have a video taken down because I'm being honest, that's not being authentic, the people that take my video down for that. Because all I'm doing is asking the very people at the professional organization of my profession to stand on the same values that the rest of us do. And if you are not operating from a place where you're following evidence-based, like the frontal lobe, and you are going down a health equity path, ignoring open borders, ignoring putting the crises that we should be focused on as a profession first, then we will not have good outcomes. And yet people will look to these organizations and think that these organizations have your back, and they don't. When I saw that they supported open borders, which they won't say a word about it now, I thought, what are you doing? What are you really trying to do to the profession of nursing? Why would you support open borders, yet yell and scream all through 2020 about how we can't overwhelm the healthcare system? What do you think open borders will do? And there's a simple reason they did it. It's because they got on board with this global health thing. That's why. So they have placed politics before everything else, even evidence. So I think there is an ego problem there. I do, because they don't want to be called out by somebody like me. I don't have all their education. And I'm not saying that everybody that is higher educated is somehow morally bankrupt, but the people at the top that are leading this profession of nursing are leading it into the ground while they tell you that they have your back, while they tell you that they care about your staffing. No, they don't. And yet all I'm doing is saying, no, you should be expected more than any of us to stand by the values of what a nurse should stand by, which is integrity and advocacy. And your deeds, your actions show that you're not. You don't even prioritize right. You know, prioritizing is really important in nursing. It really is. It's something that comes with experience. It's always hard for new nurses. It's just part of the territory. Prioritizing, where do I put the, it comes with with time. Yet the very people leading the profession they want to prioritize health equity over doing the right thing when it comes to children, to the most vulnerable. They set out on this racial path about racial health, and it's like, no, we're just supposed to take care of patients. You have become so ideology driven that you can't even see straight. And because I call it out, well, I'm deemed as not authentic and having an integrity problem. No. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just an associate degree nurse, right? But I can recognize when my own profession is not even standing by the very bylaws the rest of us have.